Hello and welcome, Kim Lamb today, and I want to thank you for being here and being willing to do this interview with me. And I'd love to start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, um, well, I went through Cherry Hill, graduated 2.5 years ago, I guess it is. I just do spiritual direction on the side from my full-time regular job. Um, yeah, that's
What's your
about it.
what's your full-time regular job?
Oh, I'm a manager for the state of Oregon, manage a Medicaid office.
Great. So tell us a little bit about why spiritual direction. Why did you take the class?
Well, I was seeing a spiritual director, um, actually Amy, and I had been a 12-step sponsor for years. And she kind of pointed out the similarities between sponsoring and being a spiritual director, especially since in my 12 step, I really focus on the spiritual part of the program, less than the physical and emotional. And I don't know, she just pointed out that it was remote because I was like, well, I don't know. But it was in 2020, maybe 2021 that I started. And COVID was going on, and it just, I don't know. I thought, well, if my original thought was I would do it for my own personal growth, and I didn't see myself being a spiritual director. And actually, after the first year, during the first year, I was like, yeah, I'm going to drop out. I don't want to do the spiritual direction part. I just like the personal growth part. But then I got my three people, and I started doing it, and I really liked it. So I finished the program.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about what what that looks like for you. What your practice, as some people call it, or looks like for you.
I have two paying directees. One I see monthly, who is a spiritual director herself. And then one of the gals that I worked with during my internship um, came back. She left when I graduated, and then when things got to a particular place politically, she knew she needed to get more grounded, and so um, she called me and asked if she could start seeing me again. So yeah, and it's interesting because when I first started, I don't know, I think I was trying to like mimic the spiritual directors I had had. Um, and it took a while for me to figure out my own process and my own way of doing things. And um, sometimes I'm surprised. I don't know. I do that imposter syndrome really well. So sometimes I'm really surprised, especially the gal who is a spiritual director herself. Um, says, "Oh, I just feel so much better after talking to you," and da da da. And I'm always like shocked.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know. I just trust that she's not lying. She wouldn't be paying me.
Right.
So yeah, and I kind of have my own way of doing things. And I think every spiritual director has their own way of things that feel right to them.
Is is there anything in that like did you have do you feel like really is incorporated in your own spirituality that makes it a little unique and different?
Well, the reason that this spiritual director, I met her on a retreat, and she lives on the East Coast. And the reason that she picked me was we were sharing at the retreat one time, and I had mentioned how I had been raised Catholic and how I had to dismantle all the Catholicism and go to nothing and then rebuild what I wanted to believe in, became pagan. And she's not necessarily interested in becoming pagan, but she actually picked me because she's leaving the Catholic Church too. So we have that same Catholic DNA in us, um, and we see eye to eye politically because the politics is really working on her too. Um, so yeah, I and it's strange because as far as my sponsoring goes, I sponsor two Christians, and I actually feel more comfortable working with Christians than I do pagans, to be honest with you, just because I know that um, I know that religion well.
is it kind of like a I know that lingo kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah. And, I spent some time after high school doing the convent thing because I was raised that you either became a nun or you married a man, and men weren't interesting to me. Um, so I like know the Bible really well. And so I can pull on that to help people. So,
Yeah. But you consider yourself now more pagan
yep.
than Catholic or Christian?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So how does spiritual direction fit in your own spiritual practice, both as a spiritual director and maybe as receiving spiritual direction if you still are or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, I still see my spiritual director, and I have my supervision person. Um, and I probably will for the rest of my life. I mean, I started spiritual direction when I felt like my spirituality had just kind of plateaued and I wasn't going anywhere. And and I knew of spiritual direction from Amy, um, from her Facebook page and stuff. She'd talk about it all the time. So I thought, I'm pretty plateaued. Maybe I should give this a try. And I still have moments that I plateau, but I keep seeing the spiritual. It's kind of almost like an accountability for me, um, to keep that part of my well-being functional, progressing. Um, I'm in 12-step programs too. And so those are spiritual programs also. And I just find that those two and Unitarian Universalism just kind of all go together really well.
Yeah. So um, because I'm really interested in the subject, um, let's go off on that train of thought a little bit. What is it about spiritual direction that is kind of that you relate to 12-step programs, or obviously there's something pretty big there that Amy brought that to your attention in the beginning. What is it for you?
I'm not quite sure I know what you're trying to get at. Um, I, so I've been interested in spiritualities for a very long time, like since fifth grade when something happened. And I feel like it's so easy to get wrapped up into the material world and get so involved in just like living or surviving. And I have something inside of me that has always just wanted to tap into something else. In And I find that spiritual direction and my 12-step program are these like constant reminders of bringing spirituality into that everyday thing. Um, my recovery would not be possible without a spiritual life, without a being spiritually fit, as the 12-step program says. Because I rely on my higher power, who I call Mother God. I rely on Mother God like every day to keep my abstinence. Um, and I don't know, spirituality reminds me to slow down, to I just recently got back from walking in the woods. That's my regular spiritual practice. Um, it's just that reminder to take care of myself spiritually.
Do you do you find that it's a little more difficult to be a spiritual director? And we mentioned a little earlier, the common lingo, like as a as a 12-step sponsor, you have the 12-step lingo. As a past Catholic, you have the Catholic lingo. Um, is that something that like um, makes spiritual direction more difficult if you can't find that common lingo?
I bring in a lot of the 12-step concepts into my spiritual direction. Um, and I have been known to say, well, in 12-step programs, they did it. I don't do it a lot, but I do find that um, sometimes it fits just perfect,
Yeah.
and and um, and I have to believe that the people I'm working with, they know that I'm in 12-step programs, and so that doesn't turn them off because I'm not going to try to present something that I'm not. Um, and like the the spiritual director that I'm working with, she's not pagan. Um, but there's still things that I'll bring in, like, oh, she loves pulling. So I do a grounding type thing. I offer a bunch of things that they can do. And she loves pulling cards. I mean, that's her favorite grounding is pulling cards. So, and a little part of me got excited because that is so Catholic are so anti cards.
Yeah.
So the day that she said, I want to pull a card, I was like, yeah. So yeah. And there's a part of me that has always really loved helping people discover things about themselves. I've always enjoyed that. And I even use that in my work. Because I manage people and I just love helping them explore things. Um, and so I don't know, the spiritual direction was just such a good fit because you get to help people explore other ideas, other parts of themselves. Um, so that kind of feeds my soul when a session goes really well. Because I always ask at the end, so what are you taking with you? And when they can say something back that they've learned, it's exciting. It's just exciting.
I had a sponsor that I worked with for a long time, and she used to say, well, I haven't seen any burning bushes lately, so I still need to talk to people because, until God burns a bush or comes down in a star or something like that,
Mhm.
I we still need to get that information from people. And so
Yeah, yeah.
that always reminded me, that you can't always you can trust your heart, but only so far.
Yeah. And it's kind of exciting at the end when I ask, so what are you taking with you? Sometimes are taking the things I did not expect them to be taking, things that I thought were really tiny and and I'm like, wow, okay. you know?
So here's a kind of tough question that I've kind of thought about myself too. So in 12-step programs, we're taught that um, we freely give what was freely given to us. So how do you deal with the complexity of money and having that kind of a relationship with someone?
Um, well, they're two separate things. Um, and I have to tell you, when I first started in 12 step, I had a really hard time with the concept of having a sponsor because they were giving their time to me for free. And it really was difficult for me. And it continued to be difficult for me until I started sponsoring. And then it was like, okay, all is even in the world, um yeah. And I mean, I pay my sponsor or my spiritual director. I don't, it doesn't,
It's not
I'm paying,
it's not a
no.
it's not
I mean, I have to admit, and I've talked to my uh supervision person on this. I have one that is pretty well to do. Um, husband is a doctor. Um, they're pretty well to do, and she pays me the minimum of my sliding scale. And I've had to work through that. And I know that she donates politically, and actually, everything I make in spiritual direction, I donate politically. Um, and I know she's donating politically, so I try to tell myself, well, it would have just gone into my hands, and we're probably giving to the same people anyway. So, but I did have to work through that. I did, because the other gal, she's very young and has a child, and they don't make a whole lot of money, and she's paying more than the doctor's wife.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah. I remember being in a class and us kind of talking about that. Um, that seems to be common, for a lot of spiritual directors. That it's the people who have the money that have the hardest time letting go of it. And maybe that's something they need to talk about in spiritual direction.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. And I pay my spiritual director twice as much as what that gal's paying me. So
um,
yeah.
so it's been a couple years now, right, since you
Mhm.
you graduated. What do you feel like has been your progression? What's changed since you first started out?
Oh, it's much more natural. I don't fret and get so scared beforehand, and I've just kind of found my groove. Um, And I kind of knew that that would happen. But I remember just getting really nervous and upset stomach and, praying like crazy before a session. And now I kind of have my routine. I have a picture that I had an artist draw of my concept of Mother God.
Yeah.
And so I actually keep it right by the monitor. So I can remember the third chair, and I'm much more trusting that I'm going to get the right message. I mean, every once in a while I'll say something and you can tell that it didn't go where you wanted it to go. Um, but the other day I got a message and I was scared to say it. I I kept looking at the picture going, no, that sounds ridiculous. um, but I said it. I did say it, and the gal started crying. And when I talked to my supervision person, I told her what was happening. She was like, "I hope you said it." And I said, "I did." And she's like, "Well, good." But getting to that point where you can you can stop the brain that's saying that might not be the right thing to say,
Yeah.
and listen to that voice that says you need to say this. Um, so yeah,
Well, that's great. It sounds like that's some good uh, encouragement for me. Still being in training and stuff to think that I will find my groove and it'll happen.
yeah,
Okay, so um, I have a speed round for you.
okay,
You ready?
okay.
I'll say something and you just say the first word or couple of words that come to mind. All right. Divine is.
Spirit,
God is.
love,
Spiritual direction is.
growth, growth.
My favorite book is.
Mist of Avalon, of course.
Um, my favorite dessert is.
Cheesecake.
Nice. You're very definitive on all those answers. That's pretty good. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for spending time with me.
Yeah,
And it's been really a pleasure getting to know a little bit more about you. I enjoy hanging out with you whenever I see you, and getting to know a little bit more about this part of you has been really fun. I really appreciate it.
yeah, yeah. Good luck with your studies.
Thanks.